I'm looking here at a piece in the Daily Caller from Representative Brad Knott. Biden enabled Iran to establish sleeper cells, but we can still destroy them. He's joining me on the program right now. How you doing, sir? Thanks for joining us.
Andrew, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
This is a result, tell me if I'm wrong, of an immigration system absent of a vetting process.
That's exactly right, and it's actually deeper than that, Andrew. What we saw with the previous administration, and honestly what the Democrats are advocating for right now in Congress, is more immigration of every type. And they would certainly say, oh, well, we're not for illegal immigration. But what they are for is doing away with borders, doing away with any kind of vetting, recruiting people from around the world to come here, and they facilitate it. And just use the Afghan refugees as an example. There's 80,000 roughly Afghan refugees that Biden brought over here. Some of them are wonderful people. Some of them are ready to be patriotic Americans. But do you think that we vetted each one of those people carefully? Absolutely not. I mean, the government is so clumsy. If each one of those people got an hour, 80,000 hours is almost a decade of government time. It's laughable to think that we vetted all those people carefully. And then when you extrapolate that more, we had probably 15 to 20 million illegals that came across the southern border. To the idea that we know who these people are, where they came from, and whether or not they pose a direct threat to the country, we don't. And that's a big problem.
You know, we have, I'm sure you've been watching the mayor's race here in New York City. I'm broadcasting from Midtown. I said earlier in the program that I hate democracy. And what I mean by that is the way the Democrats want to practice it. And when they say, the rich don't pay their fair share, we have to alleviate poverty by raising taxes. Well, right. You're importing poor people. If you're importing something that we're importing criminals. We already have our own criminals. We're importing gangs. We already have our own gangs. And we're importing terrorists. And we have our own domestic terrorists. So when they say, well, we have all these problems that government must fix, well, you're never going to fix them if you're adding to the wrong side of the ledger.
Well, stating the obvious, Andrew, you become what you import. And when you look at what the new nominee for the Democratic Party represents, it's frightening. It is more government control. It's radical social policy. It's an open embrace of anti-Semitism. And I will give him credit. He's a very skilled politician, but he is advocating for and defending with no hold bar what the Democratic Party has been moving towards for the last 25 years. I mean, the Bill Clinton Democrat is gone. It's gone. There's a new word for the Bill Clinton Democrat, and that's Republican. If you want smaller government, if you want free markets, if you want a responsible immigration system, there's no place for you in the Democratic Party, and it's a tragedy, candidly, because you do have very dire consequences to what one of the parties is pushing for. And what happened in New York is the model that the Democratic Party is going to be chasing for this country for the next, I would say, 15 to 25 years.
No, it's not going to work nationally. It's not going to work nationally. I've had intel guys, special operation guys. The Biden's border policy was the ultimate gift to clandestine and spy agents, clandestine forces and spy agencies. Because 100%. We didn't, the thing is that when we use the word invasion, the Democrats are clinging to some idea. I mean, I love the movie Red Dawn. Great movie. In the absence of mechanized forces of infantry and artillery and armor and aircraft invading our country, they don't realize that a single Chinese spy with a vial of the right fungus can destroy whole swaths of our agricultural sector. That it's, right. You don't need to bring in an army to invade. And when you say to the world, we're not checking who's coming in, that's a giveaway to the Chinese, to the Iranians, to North Koreans, to whoever hates us can now put their assets into our country.
That's right. And a great example of this is when you look at what Israel did inside of Iran's borders with their own drone squadron that was undetected, and lethal. It basically debilitated the entire military of Iran and their air defenses immediately. And when you had hundreds of miles of our border that were purposefully left open with no patrol, no eyes, no surveillance, no oversight at all, do you really think that Iran or China or various countries in the Middle East or Northern Africa, our adversaries, did not exploit that? Of course they did. Of course they did. And they're smart enough not to raise a bunch of smoke right now, but our adversaries are here because of the policies that the Democratic Party has implemented and fought for. And you said it would not work nationally. I must disagree with you. If the open border does come back and the Democratic Party gets their way, we will have New York City all over our country. And they were hoping to achieve that during the Biden administration. If you remember, Andrew, what did they want to do? They wanted to add 2 states, they wanted to pack the Supreme Court, and they wanted mass amnesty with an open border.
Well, yes, if they get their way there, then I concede the point to you. And yes, that is what they are looking for. But the Democrats, look, this guy is a spoiled trust fund Hollywood Nepo baby. You say he's a skilled politician. He's kind of a smiling idiot. What I fear mostly is the so-called adults in the party who think immigration is just toddlers and mothers coming across the border. I had a friend who was a Marine who once said, you could love the lion's not going to love you back. You could love the beast will still kill you. Right? And thinking that if we just open the border to everyone's going to come here and become, just happy-go-lucky Americans, then you don't understand the rest of the world.
No, I prosecuted this at the federal level with organized crime investigations for almost a decade. There are people who come to this country for the sole purpose of either harming the country or enriching themselves by committing crimes. There is a very real class of folks. Millions of people come here to inflict harm. And this idealistic rose-colored goggle that the Democratic Party sells the American people, that we only benefit from illegal immigration, that is a lie that is going to destroy, hopefully it's going to destroy their party. And if it doesn't, it could destroy this country. And, the most shocking thing to me in my short term in office has been the Democrats going to the mat to defend the Biden border record. They say they are against illegal immigration now, but they are for full open borders. It's dangerous, and you're exactly right. There are people who will destroy this country from within if we let them, and we can't do that.
Can I bring up something about the big, beautiful bill?
Sure.
When you look at Medicaid was not established to treat the world. It was established to treat our indigent poor. What's happening now is, and again, this is what's happening here in New York, they're talking about raising taxes to subsidize the poor. And I said it before, if you're importing poverty, then you're going to forever have to raise taxes on people. And when they say the rich don't pay their fair share, look, in this radio business, I'm not the richest guy, but I'm not the poorest guy. Eventually, you can't tax someone anymore, even if they are rich. But they never tell us what fair share is. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, AOC, whoever it is talking, when they say someone has to pay their fair share, they never say what that fair share is, so we understand inherently what that number is.
Right. Well, I think in the top 10% pays close to 70% of the overall taxes. So to your point, the rich in this country pay the lion's share of taxes. And if you taxed the top 1,000 people of this country, the top 1,000 richest people at 100% of their net worth, not income, their net worth, we would still have a deficit annually within a few years of that tax. And that does not account for the terrible effects down ballot that would be inflicted if you took someone like Elon Musk and took all of his money. This is not a taxing issue. This is a spending issue. In Medicaid, you're exactly right. California, New York, Illinois, so on and so forth, they have opened up the Rolodexes for illegal immigrants to have health care on your listeners' expense, on their dime. It's a disgusting power play. They are trying to bolster their numbers for the electoral apportionment, whether it's in Congress or the Electoral College. It's blatantly political. It is unbelievably reckless from a fiscal standpoint. And hopefully Americans are waking up to see this. If we don't enact these reforms and tighten it, keeping illegals off of the public dime, first, there will be more illegals, obviously, that come to the country because they're incentivized to do so. But we'll collapse under our own weight in the form of debt. And so the more people need to pay attention, because the Democratic Party is fully for giving your tax dollars to people who are here illegally. And there's not a whole lot of daylight between the party members on that issue. And again, it's important that Republicans win to stop this.
Well, I say it regularly. I hate democracy. And what I mean by that is the way the Democrats want to practice it. I don't mean I hate the democratic process. The democratic process and democracy are two different things. We have a Republican form of government, which means we choose our leaders to represent us, and where they have to operate within the parameters of the Constitution. And if we want to change the Constitution, we have a process for that. What the Democrats want to do is flood this country with people from the third world, then give them the right to vote for stuff offered to them by the government.
Well, even without the right to vote, Andrew, they still get counted in the census.
Yeah, that too.
And so you can have 1 million people, which is actually the case, leave California because of high taxes and overspending and decreased quality of life. They put in 1.2 million illegals. They are not penalized at all. The Democratic Party will keep a tighter control on that representation in Congress. So they are incentivized to flood this country with more and more illegals, with or without their vote, because they keep the electoral apportionment. That's the short-term motivation. Long-term, sure. But I will say this. The unexpected can happen. And when you look at the areas that were most affected by the border, look at South Texas. That was uniformly a deep blue part of Texas. It flipped almost exclusively to the Republicans because the people on the border, Hispanics included, legal, productive, immigrants, citizens, and so forth, they were for the Republican Party platform because they know how destructive the Democrats have been on immigration. And so, again, I hope and pray that the Democratic Party will turn. They haven't yet. And until they do, the Republican Party is the only option for patriotic Americans on this issue. And so I welcome any and all to hold me to account. But the Democratic Party remains committed to open borders, and we cannot allow that going forward.
We're talking to Representative Brad Knott, North Carolina. Just to get back to the original topic here, though, the key word of sleeper cell is sleeper. That it doesn't have to happen today, right? It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. I mean, how long were some of the 9/11 terrorists in the country before they were activated? What we're saying is, we didn't say because Biden opened the border that day there was going to be a terrorist attack, but certainly they have time now to practice, to pick a target, to study that target, and then when called upon, attack that target, whatever it is.
That's right. That's right. Every entity is like its own body. Our country is like its own body. And these criminals, these terrorists, it's like a sickness. And when you get sick, sometimes you don't see a symptom until that sickness has matured. And that's exactly what we have with these sleeper cells. Without question, our adversaries exploited the open border. Again, ask yourself, why wouldn't they? These are not fools. These are not idiots. Whether it's Tren de Agua or whether it's Iranian nationals who want to come here to inflict harm, they're very proficient at exercising that. And they're also smart. They're not going to jump up and down and say, I'm here to inflict harm. They may be hanging out in nondescript house quietly, but they have a mission here. And, of course, we are not talking uniformly about all immigrants, just over and over. But if we have 1,000, 10,000, 200,000 who are here with hostile intentions, that's a national crisis. And, again, the intel that I've seen, the effects that we have seen just with drug cartels, just with Chinese nationals who are flooding over the border, just with Middle Easterners who are coming here, all the pieces are there. The intel is there. The data is there. And so we have a real problem on our hands that is directly correlated to the open border. And again, we are working feverishly to get ahead of this from Washington, since Republicans are all on board. And I hope that we can prevent something bad from happening.
And the last part of that is when Democrats say, you're talking about mothers with infants. Yeah, that's what the vetting process is for, right? We're saying there should be a vetting process. It should be stringent. It should ensure that the people coming here are a good fit for our nation. We should not be importing, and in the case of Mahmoud Khalil, I don't know why we're importing agitators. I don't know why we would give someone permission. This is not a free speech issue. This is about, are we inviting people into our country who want to damage it one way or the other?
Right. Yeah, he's a net negative, and we should be allowing people who are who are net positives to the country. You get enough of Mr. Khalil in this country, and this country will fail. He is a proud anti-Semite. He is proud anti-American. It's lunacy. We're the only country in the world that's a major industrialized power that allows this nonsense, and it has to stop now.
I will leave you with a phrase we use on this program all the time. You can't bring there to here without here becoming there.
Amen.
All right.
Amen. That's exactly right.
Feel free to use it. I got to leave it there, though, sir. I got to take my break. Representative Brad Knott, North Carolina, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew.